right, we are back here at the 51st annual Big New England Football Clinic, and I'm now joined by someone who I've known for a long time. He's a fellow Norwood guy, someone who I have a great deal of respect for. I think when it comes to quarterback play, as good as it gets in my opinion, he is the man. Chris Johnston from Complete Quarterback. Great to see you, my friend. Always great to talk ball with you, brother. It's always, I mean, I've worked at camps during the, through the years, and just to see what you and Renee and the kids have done with Complete Quarterback and how you've impacted so many quarterbacks nationally, it's awesome.
I appreciate it. It's always, as you know, with that position in particular, I always say, O-line quarterbacks, it seems like the intricacy that's involved with it really makes it something that I think it's a challenge sometimes to boil down the complexity to just simple lessons we can impart, simple drills, simple concepts, that type of thing. So it's always an adventure, it's always a lot of fun, and what you guys are doing with the Football Journal is amazing, and I think in part because of your effort, the talent that is in New England is kind of getting a platform, to kind of be exposed to the rest of the world, be able to see what that in New England plays some really good football. So that's, you guys should pat yourselves on the back.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, it's funny, Chris, that you say that because we're living in a world now where everything's a service, and I get it, right? People want to make money. We all want to be compensated for our time. But one of the things I've said this to coaches here today, we're in it for the right reasons. We're in it for the coaches. We're in it for the kids. We're in it for the programs. We love what we do, and we wish we could do more. And unfortunately, right now we're strictly Patriots, high school, D1 college. We hope to expand. But to your point, and I've seen you do it, it's all about doing it the right way, adjusting with the times, and reinventing yourselves. And I mean, for a long time, Complete Quarterback was a true camp, week to week. I mean, I would marvel at how you and Renee would go from one city to the next, and I'd be like, how do they do it? How are they in St. Louis this week? And then the next week they're in Chicago, and then 2 weeks later they're in Mansfield, Massachusetts. I mean, what you have built with this company, and not only because we've been friends for a long time, but as an admirer from afar, it's impressive, man.
I appreciate it. It's been, you talking about being agile, being able to evolve over time. We got as big as we ran 21 camps at one point in a single summer camp season.
It's crazy.
We were on site running them all ourselves, which is, don't regret any of that, but there are points in time where you get on one track and you develop and you grow, which you either want to evolve or you're forced to evolve. And what has happened in the camp marketplace has been a real proliferation of college camps that has done a lot in the private camp marketplace, but it's also the advent of improved technology. Social media has had an impact on that. More of our younger athletes are already in a recruitability kind of mindset and an exposure and marketing mindset at a younger age, which was a big part of our, I guess, kind of say launch. As you dealt with that stuff. As we evolved, we started to offer different things. A lot of teams like still do camps that were on a much smaller scale in terms of volume, but I think our reach is still there because we're able to do stuff digitally. We're able to do stuff that are individual.
But you've really expanded in that area.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's been, we're launching actually this week. I think by the time of the Beach Olympic Clinic next week, we'll do the hard launch to coincide with that event. Then we've got coaching quarterback passing campus, which is really a combination of what our 26th year. And what we're presenting there is basically something that I think quarterback coaches can be all things to all people, close to it anyway, I hope. So if you're a coach who wants to, all I'm focused on right now is give me some drill work. I just need drill work. There's a section for that. If you're a coach who wants to get started on planning out good quality individual periods for quarterbacks or group periods, there's a section for that. If you do want to take it into the mechanics piece, you really care about it, we've got a section for that. And then on into like physical movement screens and fixes and all of that. So it's really, for 26 years, been working toward trying to do something that really is comprehensive. We always grow, we always add, we always evolve, but this feels comprehensive in a way that I haven't seen before. I'm really excited.
And obviously, you mentioned the changing dynamics now of the camp clinic market. Now you have showcases, and you mentioned that the on-campus stuff that colleges are doing. Kids are really, truly being pulled in a lot of directions here. One of the things that you've done is really transitioned well to a lot of the online component, a lot of the visual component. Talk a little bit about that, because you've got something special coming up here that I think is magnificent.
I appreciate it. So I think with that shift toward quarterback, spending so much time in the mode of being evaluated, that everything's kind of a beauty contest of sorts, where it's maybe not the time in a camp setting as much as it once was for the focus on, okay, let's just clean up technique. Let's not worry about what eyes are watching. Let's just really focus on technique and getting better. There's probably an element of that that's gone now, because everything is about being evaluated and showing off, so to speak, in that type of environment. With that, I think there is a thirst and an audience out there that says, we'd like to take a step back. And I know a lot of coaches that talk to me about when they get advice from coaches will talk about, I'm going to kind of strip down what I teach mechanically and focus on my quarterbacks on some really, really basic points. Depending on the level of familiarity with the concepts, the athleticism, the level at which you coach, it's very different to coach a Power 4 quarterback than it is to coach, say, a typical high school or even college quarterback. It's a different animal, and I think that attention to detail, making sure that you still visit the why and the how of mechanics in passing the football is really important, but you can do it in a way that's digestible and understandable. So over time, I think it was something that I personally have improved that as a coach, is trying to boil it down to something that in an information age
Is relatable.
Yes, when kids have grown up with a device in their hands since they're this high, the wordy, lengthy explanation, there might not be as much bandwidth as space for it, because kids are being pulled in so many directions. You got to boil it down to something that's bite-sized so they can understand it and they can execute.
Now, I'd be remiss to, I mentioned that you have some big stuff coming up here down the road. Talk to me a little bit about the course. And the best way you described it to me was 26 years of knowledge condensed into one course. I'm really excited about this.
I appreciate that. I think probably the next step is that when there are times as a coach, again, hopefully it can be wherever your journey needs to be right now. I need drills right now. I need how to schedule out a session. I do want to know some of the mechanics, but if I really want to take that next step and start to understand just the basic kind of biomechanics of the way the human body works as it relates to a quarterback, let's say that you've got a kid who's just stuck. You've got an athlete who's just stuck. One of the phases of throwing. Can't figure out, I'm giving a drill work, explaining it to him carefully, watching a video of himself with him, can't seem to improve upon it. We introduced the concept of physical screens. To figure out, we'll give you 7 basic physical screens, 6 of them are add-ons of movement. For example, if a quarterback has difficulty accessing the shoulder blade over the top, like, then that unlocks something for us and says, wow, if I have a quarterback who, whatever it is, let's say I'm from the load phase to the reach phase, and I can never get this quarterback to actually bend his elbow. Something basic as that, bend his elbow. But it might be something that is blocked on a motor pad. So what we'll do is we'll give that physical screen. If there's a fail in that screen, we'll present you with some physical fixes that can address that particular movement. And then if we
Coach John Hooley here from Avon Old.
People crashing parties.
That's all right. No, we love it. Great to see you, brother. We'll be in touch.
This is live TV. I love it. So if we get somebody to go through that physical screen and then apply the physical fix, there's the opportunity to retest and figure out, you know what, after going through this physical fix, he's now able to do whatever movement pattern. That example was being able to access the shoulder blade. Now he can do it. Great. He still can't do it. The opportunity to refer him maybe out to PT or further evaluation, or just say, how many times have you done this in your coaching life? Say, that's who he is. He can't do that particular movement. So I'm not going to spend as much time on drill work that just gets me frustrated because I'm saying you can't do that. We cope with it, we deal with it, and we work around it, and we have to do that.
And that's unbelievable. It's unbelievable knowledge to me, because you don't think of that as a coach. Like, I've coached quarterbacks for years. I know that's hard to believe looking at me, but I've coached quarterbacks for years. But you don't get in. Part of it is you don't have the time, but in the off season you do have the time. In season you may not, but on a season you have the time to get into the biomechanical part of it. So to me, when you talk about them being able to touch the back of their shoulder, and that's just, it's crazy to me. I think it's fantastic information, and I'm not saying you can't get this anywhere else, but I know you're going to get it from this guy, because that teaches you now how to work with that kid. Because now you're like, all right, when I'm teaching him the mechanical part of the position, loading the ball, throwing the football, now I know what I'm working with.
No doubt. And I gotta give some credit And a reference real quick to, so I work with a movement specialist, Eric Dagati from One Human Performance. That's at Eric Dagati, D-A-G-A-T-I. He is unbelievable. If you get a chance to follow him, just some of the stuff, particularly on Instagram, the stuff that he puts out there is amazing, man. And it really, it's been an education. I've known Eric probably close to going on 20 years like I've known you, and so it's really over time. That's helped me evolve as a coach, because sometimes we get locked into this is what I do.
Exactly, that's just it. And that was my point earlier, Chris. It's like, this is how I teach things. That's it. And some coaches are willing to evolve. And I feel like when you're coaching quarterbacks, you better be willing to evolve, because you can't just teach it the way it was taught 10, 15 years ago. But like I said, when you start to look at it from that perspective, with what they can do with their arm angle and how they can change their arm angle, now that helps you change the way you teach that quarterback, and perhaps you can get even more out of your quarterback than you might have before.
Absolutely, and I think, and that's just adaptability. We preach it to our athletes all the time. Things are not the way you want them to be. Coaching quarterbacks, it's a pouring rainy day. Guess what? All that stuff we taught you in 70 degrees and sunny might not work as well today as the rain pours
You're gonna
down.
have to throw a wet
So as coaches, we got to do the same thing. We got to adapt over time and just continue to refine and get better. You know?
And obviously, we got an opportunity to partner up last year. You sponsored us, and we're thankful for that. We appreciate it, and certainly we want to be able to take that partnership to the next level. So any content, anything you have that I believe in the product. I've been a proponent of the product forever, but I think you're taking quarterback play to another level here, my friend. I think it's vitally important. Before we go here, you're also a coach. That's the thing. People associate Chris with complete quarterback. He's also a very, very accomplished offensive coordinator, quarterback coach. Talk a little bit about coaching right now, and what do we need to know about where you're at right now?
Appreciate it. So I'm at Monroe University in Westchester County, just north of New York City, in New Rochelle. We're a pretty unique football environment because we are a 4-year university that across the board in the athletic department participates as part of the NJCA, JUCO athletics. So it makes it for a very, it's not last chance here. It's a different kind of energy. It's a different kind of
So wait a minute, you're not going to go Coach Brown on some poor quarterback? You can't throw a ball into the ground.
That's right. No, so
I wasn't going to swear.
So it's the type of environment that it's been a lot of fun for me. I was a high school lifer coach. I'm going into my 3rd season coaching at the college level, and this stuff, there's a lot of it that's universal. There's obviously some differences in the game, length of the game, hash marks, different things that you learn very quickly that college level is a little bit different. But it's also, football is football, and quarterback play, same fundamentals that we care about every day at the high school level. We certainly still care about at the college level. But it's a really unique environment. Our head coach, Kevin Boyd Jr., has really welcomed me into the staff, and it's been an exciting thing for me. I never envisioned myself really desiring to be a college coach, an opportunity going on. I said, yeah, give this a try.
It's been a great effort.
It's been fun, man. It's been a blast.
Before we go here, of course, you'll be at the Gillette Clinic next week, the Massachusetts High School Football Coaches Association Clinic. And I believe you're presenting at that clinic as well. So that'll be good. So I highly recommend getting out there and seeing Chris. If you're an offensive coordinator, a quarterbacks coach, if you're coaching another position, if you're a defensive guy and you want to learn about quarterback play, you got to go see this guy. I can't, been coaching 30 years. I'm not saying it because he's my fellow Norwood guy and I know him. He's as good as you will find at teaching the position, breaking it down, bare bones, and teaching it from the way up. He is the best. So make sure you get out there and see him. Anything we need to know about next week, you're going to have a table there as well.
So we'll be there.
Anything else?
We'll have a presence. We're going to speak on a topic for coaching the multi-sport athlete as your quarterback.
Which is huge, by the way, and I'm glad you brought that up. This is why I love having this guy on. He makes me sound smart. I only say that, Chris, because I coached quarterbacks for years. And one of the sports that I think, and I'm not saying kids shouldn't play because I love the sport. I love baseball. I've been all 30 major league ballparks. I love the game, but baseball is that one sport because it's the most recent sport kids are playing. You get them into training camp now. You got to break a lot of bad baseball habits. So I'm glad you're presenting on this.
I think sometimes what happens is just the nature of the game, especially when guys are middle infield. A lot of times you get a quarterback who is a shortstop and he's a pitcher. And those are the things that there are. Sometimes we'll see, obviously, our middle infielders are used to a lot of times from the lower arm slot because it fits.
It would drive me nuts.
And then pitchers sometimes, particularly if you're a pitcher who's in the windup, It really doesn't matter. You can throw the ball wherever you want to throw it as a pitcher. And sometimes the path you might go to get to a loaded position is one that takes the wrong route, basically. And so those are some of the things we try to address. I've switched my thinking over the years on coaching the baseball pitcher as a quarterback. I used to look at it as an impediment. I don't know if I looked at it necessarily as a negative, but now I looked at it almost as a positive to say, this is a throwing athlete who's engaged as a thrower damn near all year long, which is, we got to look at that as a positive and say, like, just depending on your role. If you're on a baseball diamond now, you're on a football field now, we got to tweak our approach a little bit. But I'm still dealing with a throwing athlete who I think we can leverage that interest and just that love of being a throwing athlete all the time. So we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, and again, like I said, not saying it because you're sitting here, that's Chris's approach. He doesn't just look at it strictly from a football quarterback approach. It's a much broader approach. I can't stress getting to know this man enough. I can't stress, buying his product because it works. It works. I'm telling you, if you're serious about developing your quarterbacks, this is a good guy to know. Make sure you visit CompleteQB.com for all of Chris's products and all that he does for quarterback playing. Chris, I want to say thanks for taking the time, brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate your partnership, and just can't wait to see what's next, brother. You are the standard in my eyes. Did your camps for years, and the way I teach my quarterbacks, it's all you, brother.
Thank you so much.
Chris Johnston from Complete Quarterback.